After fasting for more than 500 consecutive days, in today's video I'll be telling you about weight loss, how much weight I've lost, what I've been eating, and some things I've learned from intermittent fasting. Let's begin. Hi, I'm your captain of awesome and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoyed here. Now, over 500 days ago, I saw a tweet on my feed and I decided to check out intermittent fasting, and the rest, as they say, is history. But before we get into this video, here are some of the recent videos I have made in the past, and also please consider subscribing here if you like what I do. You don't have to, but it will be dope. In this video, there will be 3 parts. Part 1 is about what I eat and my dieting for 500 days. Part 2 is about weight loss. How many kgs did I lose? What are some things I've learned there? And part 3 is about insights. What are some things that after 500 days of fasting I can tell you that benefits you today? And one last thing, if you make it to the end, who knows, I might have some tips there, but I mean, who knows, right? Who knows? So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Now, for a quick definition, intermittent fasting is where you cycle between periods of eating and fasting. It does not say anything about what to eat, but rather when to eat them. Basically, you're restricting yourself to what is known as a feeding window, which is when you can eat. In the 500 days and counting that I've started intermittent fasting, I have not followed any carnivore, omnivore, vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian, crustacean, none of that. I've not followed any of those diets. Basically, I've been eating what I ate before this, which was a lot of junk food. And again, in the third section or in the third part, I'll let you know about, what impact this has had on my body. But when it comes to dieting, I've actually not eaten super clean or super healthy actually. So when it comes to food and restriction, I would say I did not restrict myself at all. I pretty much ate anything that I wanted to eat. And the fasting plan that I used was 16-8, which is 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of feeding. But more realistically though, what I did was actually about I think 24 or about 19-5, which was I would fast for 19 to 20 hours and I would have a 4-hour feeding window. Part 2. Weight loss. So when I started fasting in January last year, I weighed about 98 to 99 kgs. Since then though, and with 500 plus days of fasting, the lowest I've ever weighed is about 76 kilograms, which is 22 kilograms lesser than when I started fasting. But there's a tiny caveat here, a tiny disclaimer. I run. And I run a lot. And initially when I started intermittent fasting, I did not, run that much. I actually just started running under lockdown last year, which was in March. And before you know it, it just took off. I've basically ran everywhere. I've run from my door to my balcony. I've run alone lots of times. I've run with my friends. I've run with my running club. And basically I've, taken running as a personality trait at this stage. I did about 1,200 kilometers last year. I've already done 900 kilometers this year. And I'm on track to do 2,000 kilometers this year. And definitely running that much helps with weight loss, that's for sure. But I'll tell you why I do not think it's that simple. Part 3. Insights and learnings. Now, coming back to food, most definitely there's one major thing that I noticed, which is the fact that I cannot shove down as much junk food as I could before, or at least food in general. So what this meant is, since I started fasting about more than 500 days ago, I would eat and I would feel bloated. That has sort of gone away. I don't feel bloated anymore. I actually feel very fine. But when it comes to the amount of food that I eat, I notice right now that I get full even though I don't eat a lot. So definitely one thing I've noticed is, even though I eat all the junk food and everything, I cannot eat a lot. I definitely reduce it, because when I eat a lot more, I feel very bad. Speaking of feeling, and most definitely many people tell you on IF, you feel sharper, you feel more awake, and I will tell you that yes, that is so true. When I started fasting, and even up until today, I don't get that midday slump, which means that when I eat in the afternoon, I don't feel like going to sleep. I don't feel tired. I don't feel like, oh shit, I gotta power down. I don't feel that anymore. I have a ton of energy. I start fasting at 5 p.m. and I go for my run after 5 p.m. I still have all the energy. So when it comes to how I feel, if you wondered about that, I feel great. Now, when it comes to weight loss, one thing I did notice is that after I had initially lost all the weight from 98 kgs to 76 kgs, I've actually slowly over the months gained some of that weight back, and right now I am at 78 kgs. But one interesting thing to note is that while I have gained the weight, when I check my MiFit app, I've actually not gained fat. So I feel very lean and I feel very, sharp. That's one insight for you right there. Now, in case you have stuck to the end right here, you get bonus content because you are awesome. Now, one of the major questions I keep getting all the time is that, Emmanuel, how are you so persistent, or how are you so consistent? Don't you get tired? Don't you get hungry? And I would say initially it was hard. Initially, I felt hungry a lot of the times. And I think one thing that happens when you start restricting your food, at least for me in my case, is that I noticed that I did not need to eat as much as I used to eat before. So definitely you start getting a better feel of when you are full, or you can start getting a better feel of when you're really hungry, not when your stomach is throwing tantrums, like sometimes your stomach is just like, give me food. But actually you don't need food at that moment. So I've learned to know the difference. And when it comes to just being consistent, I'm a sucker for streaks. So when it comes to anything where I'm keeping a streak, I always just like to keep it going. So I would like to say that's just my main reason why I've gotten this far. But definitely I would say it comes down to just my personality, where I'm just, I just love streaks. So when I start maintaining a long enough streak, I'm like, I don't want to break it. Another question I got was actually, what do I do during social gatherings? And well, I just drink water. So I've become known as the guy who drink water. Whenever I go to anything where people are eating, I just drink water. And there you have it. That has been 500 days for me of intermittent fasting. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you have any questions whatsoever about intermittent fasting or any comments, please let me know in the comment section down there below. And also, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any new wonderful future videos. I shall catch you next time. Don't forget to be awesome. Bye.